Namaskar. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on which part of the globe you have joined us from. I'm Tanaya, back again, joining you live from Bangalore. And this is the third episode of season two of the Cradle series of fireside chats. Thank you. Thank you for all your love and support so far. Hearty welcome yet again. Well, in many of our sessions, we have touched upon the aspect of infinite human potential, right? Today, we intend to delve a little deeper in the subject and ask ourselves a few questions. Is human potential really infinite, unlimited? Is it really possible to tap into this huge reserve of energy? If not, why? If yes, how? Well, we will take these questions today, and the topic of our conversation is unleashing the infinite human potential. And to discuss the topic with me today, yet again, I have a very special guest. I'm privileged to welcome him. May I please have him on my screen? Yes, my dear audience, right there, we all can see Mr. Suman Chakravarti. Let me introduce him to you. Uh, Mr. Chakrabarti has over 28 years of experience in the energy industry. Currently, he's heading the Electrical India operations of an US based organization across conventional generation, transmission lines, renewables, oil and gas, etc. Has worked in global locations such as Singapore and Japan, and currently he is based in Mumbai, and that is from where he is joining us all from live this evening. Well, thank you for joining us, Mr. Chakraborty, and I'm very much looking forward to learn from you this evening.
Thanks, Tanaya. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, uh, wherever from whichever part of world you have joined. I'm really honored to be in this forum to discuss on such a topic which is of utmost relevance for all of us to know about the potential human carries. So I'm glad to be in this forum and looking forward to have a fruitful
Sure.
discussion and have some takeaways. Thank you.
In, Indeed, a topic of importance, and let me straight away jump to the very basics. Well, my first question to you, Mr. Chakraborty, is what do we understand when we say human potential? And what are the few key indicators of human potential? Please.
Good point, Tanya. I think this is the best point to start with in this direct in this discussion with regarding human potential. So let me start with an example. Actually, we have been thinking of human potential for so many years. Many seers and philosophers have thought about this. They have given their own opinions based on their researches they have conducted. I'll just would like to take a simple example which we have heard many times. So, whoever amongst us have been seeing the circus, if you remember in our childhood times, when we used to visit circus, we used to see a elephant standing there outside of the tent, restrained by a rope, and that rope is tied to a stick in the ground. So, why does that elephant do not try to run away or just run away, and because that stick cannot hold him? Actually, that elephant has tried to do that when he was young, but at that point of time the stick was able to restrain him. So in this process of trying to run away, he got through some injuries, and then he was left with this belief that this is beyond his capability. He will not be able to break through and run away. So are we not all similar to what elephant is doing or was doing. So we all have this kind of limitations built by our own mind based on our previous experience, past experiences. And we are not able to tap on the potential which we are born with. So I think human potential is about going beyond the limitations of our own mind, exploring all the possibilities, having the capability of adjusting our complexes, which holds us from achieving something great, and also to come out of those belief, those thought process which gives us anxiety, depression, tension, all of those things, which are basically total wastage of energy, which we are not meant for. So I think this is
Absolutely.
what.
Yeah. And what a beautiful example to start the session with, the example of the elephant in the circus, and we have all seen it. And then you went on to say that human potential in its basic is going beyond the limitations which we ourselves have set. And I just, since I was talking about the key indicators, I just, wanted to add something. See, if somebody says that I have a potential of singing, now what is the indicator of that potential? The indicator is that I can sing well, or I can sing some of the tough notes very easily, right? So somebody says that, okay, I have a great potential for maths. Now, how that is indicated, how that is reflected, when I'm able to, take up some of the tough challenges that maths poses, right? And that is the indicator of my potential. Similarly, while here we are talking about the potential in a particular subject, when we talk about our overall potential, and then you talked about it, it is about how we go about our lives, how we lead our lives, how we kind of take up some of the challenges which life offers us, right? And that maybe is an indicator of the potential which we have, or gives us an indication how we are dealing with our potential, or whether we are able to realize and kind of unleash the same. That brings me to another very interesting question, which are always in our minds. That if we really say that human potential is infinite, and we all say that, and that's the topic of discussions, then when we look around, we see people of varying capabilities, varying strengths, varying skills. So if human potential is really infinite, then why there is such a variation in performance?
Right. Good question, Tanaya. This has been a question for everyone. We see a lot of difference in performance, whether in professional life or the balance a person carries in his personal life across the environment he is always, he or she. So this is a very important question, and CC Thakur has said on very clear terms that consciousness and intelligence are totally based on the rhythm of life. So if we go deeper, what he wanted to say regarding rhythm of life, my interpretation or whatever I have understood, he was always focusing to have the human being in harmony with the laws of nature, to be consistent with the approach of nature. But as we know that we are all born with all those limitations and our old conditioning of mind. So the way we have been following the rhythm of life mainly decides where we are leading to. So CC Thakurji, he was very clear and he specified on very clear terms that you have to decide on the rhythm of life which you want to follow, and that will decide where you want to go. So
Absolutely.
yeah, go
Anything
ahead,
you
Tanay.
would like to add?
Yeah. I was about to tell, because there are a lot of philosophers who have been talking about uh, reaching that human potential. We have heard about Dr. J. Holmes. He was he once mentioned that never tell a young person that something cannot be done, because God might be waiting for centuries to have somebody who is ignorant of the impossible thing and do that very thing. So it was very clear from many of the researchers or seers that it is all our limitations of thoughts. And nowadays there is a concept of thoughts drives behaviors and behaviors drives results. In our corporate sector also, corporate roles also, there is lot of emphasis given on how to monitor our thoughts and how to bring them in line with the growth and the expectations of the industry or the world. So so when we started, and if I would just like to correlate this with how satsang helps, should I continue, Tanya, on this?
You may, but then I just thought I would pitch in with another thought, thought out here. Uh, See, uh, while people are born with potential, okay, it is also important to nurture that potential, right? And since you mentioned Shishi Thakur has so much emphasized on the importance of nurturing, right? One, he has emphasized on the nature of it, the genes, the right marriages, and we talked about it in our session, nature versus nurture, the one which we had in the last season. But then again, at the same time, he has also put a lot of emphasis on nurturing, how education should be imparted to a person, how parenting should be done. So I think all these also play a important part in the way our potential gets unleashed. For example, say if I know that a child sings well, and I was giving the example of singing. If I don't if the child does not practice, okay, then you will see that after some time that potential that is there in him just wanes off. You will not be able to catch up to the notes. So again, by practice I mean nurturing that particular talent, and same with every subject. So I thought I'd just add on to the flow of thoughts here. So maybe you can continue,
Valid,
and then I will come to my next question.
valid point, and you have raised a very important point. So again, it again drives us towards what Thakur said on this aspect. So he has very clearly actually specified that guided education. He has always talked about the importance of guided education, and he has mentioned very clearly that intention and objective of guided education is to lead an individual towards life and growth, and more importantly to a next level of awareness, where he's aware of his own limitations, his own mental blockages, and then elevate from there. So as you very rightly mentioned, that the nurturing and upbringing and the conditioning is very important in this process. So when we all took initiation, so if you just think about how we started. So C.C. Thakur, in his first message of Satyanushara, the message itself shows or indicates the paradigm shift. I'll just recollect, I will just mention that. He has mentioned in the first portion of Satyanushara message that first of all we must wage war on weakness. As weakness is the sin incarnate, drive it away, this depressing, blood sucking vampire. Be brave, be bold. Say you are the offspring of the might. And then he mentioned, believe you are son of Father the Supreme. So we have to take a pause here. I think the essence of the message is here. Believe you are son of Father the Supreme. Before all, be brave and sincere. And then it is clear that you have the right of entering into the kingdom of heaven. So my interpretation of kingdom of heaven is the infinite possibilities, infinite
Absolutely.
opportunities. So if we go into the depth of this message says it all. He wants us to have that paradigm shift, that we are not ordinary, we are not very uh, we are creation of God, we are son of the Father, the Supreme. We are born with all those infinite possibilities, and then the journey starts. So these
Absolutely.
are all and then as you rightly mentioned, the process which is followed in the path of CC Thakur is total conditioning. We unlearn many things which holds us from going to that level of achievement, and then reconditions us, makes us, prepares us to achieve them. Be blissful, be at peace, get rid of tension, anxiety, depression. And then he said, he mentioned once that dharma is science of being and becoming. Everyone who exists follows dharma,
Absolutely.
but it depends how he follows. That decides the amount of achievement he is gaining in his life. So I think
Absolutely. A beautiful
we,
message.
yeah. So I always, pardon me, I may get emotional because these are all by his grace, whatever we have experienced in life and the achievements which we came across always makes us emotional. And I think there is nothing wrong in getting emotional about him.
Absolutely, emotions are a part of our very being, and the stories of some of our own lives who have treaded the path. Uh, Definitely, people can vouch for it in terms of how uh, being uh, being guided by our living ideal makes us the better version of ourselves. I would like to draw the audience's attention to a very interesting work by Abraham Maslow. Right, he's a great psychologist. We all know
Yeah,
that. We have all most of us have studied Maslow's need hierarchy, right? Wherein the highest need that Maslow points out is the need of self-actualization, right? And what is self-actualization? Self-actualization is when we reach our full potential, right? The state of reaching our full potential is self-actualization, and Maslow says that this is the highest need of any individual.
right,
Okay, and based on that only, a human potential movement was run in the United States in the 1960s. So I'm not going into the success or failure of that, but the intention was definitely to make human realize their full potential. Now, in Maslow's theory, if we put our attention, what we'll find is that Maslow says that when the basic needs like food, clothing, and shelter are met, when the safety needs are met, when the relationship needs are met, only when those things are met, okay, when the person feels that okay, I am now abundant in all this, can the person move to that state of trying for self-actualization, right? Now let us see what Shishi Thakur says. Shishi Thakur says that you will not be able to drive misery away unless you can drive that sense of inadequacy from the hearts of people. I'm sorry, I'm again quoting from the holy book Shattanu Sadan, but I'm not telling the message verbatim. I'm just trying to talk about the very essence of the message. So he says that we'll not be able to drive the misery away unless you drive away the or remove the sense of inadequacy from the minds and hearts of people, and dharma alone can do that.
yeah,
And that is exactly what Mr. Chakravarti was talking about, right? And we will delve deeper as we move ahead, but since you touched upon it, I thought I will just add on to this thought itself, just connecting it to what the great psychologist Maslow has told us, and the theory which is much talked about, right? So now we are talking about unleashing our potential. While we are talking about it, and we are talking about different ways and means of doing it, but is it really practically possible to realize our potential and unleash the same? Because it's sometimes easier said than done, otherwise we all have been in a different zone altogether. So is it really practically possible? What are your thoughts?
most important question you have asked, Tanaya, and yeah, I think this is one thing which everyone has to recognize and realize how it influences our own life. All these theories and findings and everything is good, but how does it influence? Whether it really has a influence on our life? Have we gained anything in on reality from all those things? So you have touched a very valid point, and I would like to take some examples. These are very simple examples, but I think these are the steps towards transformation. These are the steps towards enhancing our capabilities. These are steps towards the journey of reaching that infinite potential. So I will just take one example. The present company in which I am working right now, in the year 2016, actually this company is a 100 years old company in the ENC space from US, and they had started their oil and gas operation in 2013, in the year 2013, and they were awarded with one very big EPC project for Indian Oil Corporation, and first time they were delivering this kind of projects. I think project cost was around 1800 crores. So in the year 2016, I was hired into this company. Actually, at that point of time, that project had started, and it was almost 1.5 years past in that project life cycle, and they were struggling a lot, and it was totally going the way it was never intended to. And then they wanted people like us who have considerable experience in this field to lead this project, bring back that project on track, and deliver as per the expectation of the client, customer. So immediately when I entered into this, and I realized that it was so huge task, that night I could not sleep actually. Literally I could not sleep, and I was almost sure that I will fail, and these expectations are not realistic, and I am now just put in a condition where I have no path forward. But there the difference comes, and why I am telling this, taking this example is, and as you all know, because of our own process which we follow daily after getting initiated to CC Thakur, every time we come across such challenges, we start doing some kind of more meditation, more Nam Dhyan. And in the morning when I was doing Ishtabriti, this thought of Satyanusharan came to my mind. Failure is not weakness, but not trying to do is weakness. He has mentioned very clearly, if you have put your all out efforts, but if still failed, no harm. This unblemished effort will take you towards your goal. So this is
Absolutely.
how the things happens in our life when we are initiated, when we have that belief, that and dependency on CC Thakur. He comes to our rescue, and believe me, I just went ahead with that belief that CC Thakur in the morning gave me his message very clearly, and this is the message, this is the path forward. And that project was commissioned in 2019. Company was expecting a no loss no gain performance, but we earned a lot of money. It was not because of me. I will definitely not claim the success for only because of me. It is the entire team effort. But if leaders are losing focus or getting concerned or worried, then it's a problem. And there comes how Thakur helps. Even in the same
Absolutely.
example, the team which we had in India, 90% were not from this field actually. Similarly, now we are venturing into renewables. We are venturing into global transmission projects where solar power is getting integrated with the grid as a part of green energy. We have very less availability of talent in India in this field. because it's very new field for Indians. But there again, this kind of message from CC Thakur, that to vilify others is to have all those defects in one's own self. Every human being is the son of Father the Supreme with all infinite possibilities. So, if we are very sure and if we are convinced that whatever Sisi Thakur has said is the ultimate truth, that is the way of life, that should be the way of life, then I think step by step we are in the right journey towards reaching that, or towards excellence, journey towards excellence.
Absolutely, absolutely. Another thing I think which works is faith. See what keeps us away from trying something out. We'll never be able to realize our potential unless we try something out, right? So if I really don't go out in the road and drive, I will never know that I can drive. Right. So our fear keeps us away from trying things out. Now, what can actually control our fear? One is awareness, and you touched upon it when you started. Awareness that I can do it, or what are the dangers involved, the knowledge part of it. Second, obviously, is faith. And Shishi Thakur says, rely, and you will never be scared. And it is very similar. Like, and I always give this example of my little child, who will be like, whenever there is a sudden power cut, and then it's dark, if I'm around, she will never be scared, because she has that faith in me that if mama is there, things will be all right. So similarly, when we have somebody in our lives, like you mentioned, right? And having somebody in our life, in the sense that we have those messages that give us strength and direction, like the one you talked about today, right? Then we definitely have that belief in ourselves also, that yes, I shall be able to overcome. And faith leads to that uh, to that uh, feelings, and what do I say, that conditioning of our mind in such a way
Yeah,
that we will be able to do it, and that I have it in me to do it. Even if I don't, let me give it a try. Our spiritual master is with us. So that is very important, I think, in the way of realizing our potential. At the same time, right, you are not talking about importance of a guru, or having a living ideal in our life. So I would like you to elaborate a little further on this subject and help us and the audience understand how having a spiritual master helps us in unleashing our potential.
right. Thanks, Tanaya. And one very simple example, actually, our Pujapat Sisi Acharya, we have heard him I think, 2 years ago. He was giving his speech in one of the satsang adhiveshan, where when he mentioned that you have to put yourself, any situation comes in your life, you have to just consider how Thakur would have responded to that particular situation. So, so it is so easily and simply said, and which has all the answers which we are looking for actually. Like Satyenu Sharan, and Satyenu Sharan is written in one night when C.C. Thakur was at the age of 21. It has all messages which we come across, which addresses all our concerns in the life. So when we are having this kind of course correction by our Pujapat C.C. Acharya, when he says that you have to put yourself, if somebody is, suppose, scolding us, or somebody is putting a blame on us, it is very natural to respond similarly in the way that person has responded. But then the course correction comes, because we have Pujaba Sisi Acharya telling us that you have to find out how Thakur would have responded to this kind of situation. So this kind of
Yes.
course correction is actually not allowing us to deviate from the path of life and growth. So
Yes.
this is a living example. And even when we lost our Pujyabat Sisi Dada, everybody was fully struggling to cope up with that loss. And we remember when that Shraddha ceremony was getting conducted. After that, Pujyabat Sisi Acharyadev stood up and clearly who is actually supposed to be the most impacted person because of the loss of his own father. He stood up and told us not to go back to our home and take the life as it comes, because sorrow will not give us anything that life expects from us or Sisi Thakurji expects from us. So we have a continuous course correction.
Absolutely.
When we, the normal mind, normal brain, normal intellect cannot think of something, then we have somebody who is having those capabilities, who has answers for all kind of, in all directions, doing the course correction for us. So I think
Absolutely.
this is something which we are actually privileged to have living ideal in our life, and we get a direct communication from living ideal on anything and everything we do.
Sure. So you were talking about, particular message which Sri Acharya Dev was talking about, that we should, and I will just read this message out from the Holy Book Holy Book Satyanusaran, where Sri Thakur says, "O you who would devotees be, with hope for name and riches, don't make me your lord and master. Beware, if mastery within awakens not, master center none you have, and deceiving you shall be deceived." And I'll try to give a shot in explaining this message in tune with what you just mentioned. So many times we see that many people go and get attached to a spiritual guide or a master in the hope of getting something out, getting name, money, fame, right? And many people have the tendency. So Sri Sri Thakur here is telling us that if you have such intentions, then please beware. This is not going to help you unless the mastery within awakens. Now, what is mastery within? I believe mastery within is again realizing that unlimited potential in us. That is mastery, right? And that is what exactly Sri Acharya Dev was mentioning, and what you talked about in very simple words, that in any situation I face, I, I think back that how would my guru would have reacted to it. Say somebody has done something, I feel angry. That time, something comes to mind that no, how Thakur would have behaved, or Thakur would have responded to these situations. And then again, I course correct. I have a 7-year-old daughter. So one day I was reading this message from Satyanusaran, and then she was asking me, what does it mean? So I gave that explanation to her, that we need to, in any situation, whatever our guru would have done, we also have to do that. So she immediately told me that, oh, now I understand. I will have to tell you something. I said, what? No, actually, when you are busy in your office work, because we were all working from home, I sometimes go to the terrace alone. So if Thakur would have been in my place, he would have told his mother that, I have lied to you, or I go without taking your permission. So that's why I'm telling it to you. And these are the course correction. And this touched me
Right.
so much. It's a little girl. She's understanding this message, and she's telling me this, and she's telling that if Thakur would have been in my place, he would have confessed to his mother that I was wrong, I have done it. And these are the course corrections, maybe what we are talking about here.
Right, right.
uh,
Great example, Tanaya. Actually, this is what I think is the rhythm of life, what we are able to provide to our children because of the learnings we have been getting from our living ideal.
Absolutely. Another thing I would like to touch upon here is, while we talk about infinite potential and everything, another thing which Sri Thakur has focused on is the power of love, right? Because love dictates the action. Love increases the willpower in us. And again, I'll give you one small example. Like, say, I'm like tired entire day. I would have, given long hours in office. And then when my little daughter will ask for something special at dinner, I will go ahead and cook for her despite all the tiredness. Now, from where I get this energy? That energy is coming out of my love for the little one, right? And that is, what stretches us. And again, while this is a very small example of me cooking a particular dish for her, but then again, those are the things which unleashes our potential or stretches us to what we can really achieve out of it. And again, another message I would, and maybe you can talk about it, as you move forward. Sri Thakur says that if you have attained such a power, though you have gained such powers that you can move the sun and the moon from their courses, can break the earth into pieces or make all people wealthy, but you have no love in your heart, you have achieved nothing. Very, very profound statement,
Yeah,
right? That you have, if anybody has got such a power, and to really change the course of the heavenly bodies, and he or she does not have love in the heart, then there is no achievement at all, right?
you're right.
uh, and anything which you would like to add on here, Mr. Chakraborty?
Yeah, yeah. You touched upon a very right point of getting attached to living idol, love, our love and affection towards the living idol. Actually, Thakur, Sisi Thakur, once very clearly said that books and theories cannot transform any personality. So he very clearly mentioned it is the attachment towards a personality in whom all those attributes are manifested. So unless we have those attachment and love towards a personality in whom all those attributes which can takes us to infinite potential, will not be able to gain. He was very clear in that, and that we are seeing those examples every day. Everybody knows what is to be done, what is good, what is best, and how everybody should be behaving, but we are not able to come out of all those complexes. So again, with this word of complex, so CC Thakurji's main focus, I think, was to have all of us doing adjustment of complexes.
Yes.
So just continuing on this, he mentioned that if we are able to infuse finer level of vibration into our psychophysical system, then personalities may change by mind, body, and intellect, and which can be a total transformation, which that particular individual has never imagined also. So he was always talking about the importance of infusing the finest level of vibration into the psychophysical system. And I think our Namdhyan, after initiation, when CC Thakurji talks about doing Namdhyan, he actually mentioned about, I think, 35 to 40 minutes a day. He's prescribing that we should be doing Namdhyan, we should be attached, and this takes us to the next level of awareness.
Absolutely. And a very interesting thing which I was reading somewhere. So the meditation that we do, we generally concentrate in our third eye, right? This point. And I was reading somewhere that whenever we think deeply, right, unconsciously we are like, putting our hand here. So what it shows, and there has been research on this, right, that that means whenever we are putting our hand here, something gets activated somewhere which helps us to generate thoughts, right? The right kind of thoughts, which
Right.
are kind of, solving that particular problem or taking us out of that situation. And it is so interesting to observe that, the meditation which is being prescribed or which we are, practicing, is something which, focuses all our attention here. So obviously one is this vibration and one is this focus, and how good it does to our, psychophysical system. And maybe, people can, talk about, people can actually, read a lot about it, and practice it yourself, obviously by taking shelter on getting yourself attached to the right spiritual master. While we are talking about the infinite human potential, Mr. Chakrabarti, on one hand, the human potential is infinite. On the other side, human life is so short. What are your thoughts on this paradox? Strange paradox it is.
Yeah. It's very strange paradox, definitely. Actually, what I can relate to this is because human life is short means we have limited time. There is an expiry date for everyone, so we all will get expired at a particular date. But human potential will allow us to achieve which we have never imagined. So, even if we take the example of Swami Vivekananda, he was he lived only for 39 years, and see the amount of achievement he has made, spiritual progress he has made, the guidance he could provide to the world. So, human life is short, but if we are able to tap that potential rightfully and follow the principles of being and becoming, specifically, Thakur talked about existential becoming, where every life is supported for growth, every life is supported for existence. So, if we are able to tap that potential, I think the human life, even though there is a span, limited span, but there is a lot to achieve.
Absolutely. And, very appropriate example there of Swami Vivekananda. And I was very recently reading the book Gospels of Sri Ramakrishna. And so when Vivekananda first came to Sri Ramakrishna, he himself was not aware of the huge energy source he
Yes.
is, right? He was not. He used to just sing a few songs and he was mastered at that. But Sri Ramakrishna could identify the potential in his disciple, in Swami Vivekananda. And with the right kind of guidance, he was able to help Vivekananda realize his true self and then tap into the infinite potential that he had. And the entire world knows the story here. uh, Another thing which I would like to touch upon here is, see, many times we see, because it's there in our Vedas, this word, or the Upanishads, maybe this, that I am he, aham brahmashmi, sohang, and all that. And we see many intellectuals who claim that they are not religious, talk about it, that I am he. But very interesting thing which Sri Thakur has talked about here. He's saying that how much ever you say I am he, or I'm the all powerful, but if you don't have devotion, active devotion in your
Yeah.
heart, then this will not take you anywhere. Okay. So at the root of everything is an active attachment to a spiritual master, is devotion. And devotion and wisdom, Sisi Thakur said, I think, are devotion and faith are twin brothers. And all this is again, from there only wisdom stems. And he said the devotee is the wisest. And that's there in the holy book of Sri Thakur Satyanusaran. So I think it is important for us, and again, we are talking about it, to have active devotion and be attached to a living ideal. And I think that is the only way of really understanding the potential that we all are blessed with, the
Right.
potential we all are, born with. One small story here, and then maybe I will, go to the questions, audience questions. So there was one little boy who was very mischievous, and his mother came to Sri Thakur and said, "My son does not study at all." And that time, when Thakur was there in flesh and blood, people used to come to him with all sorts of problems for their solutions. And that mother came and said, "My son does not study at all. He only watches films." Okay. So Shishi Thakur told that boy, "Okay, very good, you are watching films. So next time when you watch a film, you please, tell the story to me." Okay. So now this boy became, very conscious that now I have to watch only good films, because I have to go and tell the story to Shishi Thakur. So he started watching good films. Then next time Shishi Thakur told him that, "Please write the story, whatever you are seeing, please write it and show to me." So that boy, used to do it. So like that, right? by understanding the instinct of that individual,
Yes.
Sri Thakur channelized the energies of that individual in the right direction. And eventually, boy, I think, grew up to be one of the finest persons or directors or writers, somebody. I don't remember it very clearly. I've read it somewhere. But then again, Sri Thakur has stretched on understanding the instincts of an individual
Yeah.
to really tap into the full potential. And we have many such stories wherein, by being in touch with Sri Thakur, following his messages, how people have discovered themselves, truly, and have really gone to heights of excellence and success, whatever you call it. So I thought,
And I
let
think,
me
Tanaya,
mention in this
we
way.
all have similar experiences in our own terms. Before initiation, our life, our thought process, our understanding of our own capabilities. And after initiation and in the process of this spiritual path, the achievement which we have come across might be very
Absolutely.
small steps, but we all have experienced all those.
Absolutely.
How we get benefited following Sisi Thakur.
Yeah. Yes, like I have this problem of anger. I am a little short tempered, but then, whenever I feel angry, whenever I think, okay, I am like feeling angry. So, like, it comes to my mind that no, I cannot be, because I would have read that, positive affirmation in the morning, which Sri Thakur has asked us
Yes.
to, that I cannot be angry, or I cannot be sentimental. So it comes to my mind, no, I cannot be. So automatically, right, it comes down. You don't get into that mess. So these are the small steps which
Yeah.
we get help on, and which again, as we
Actually,
when we started
yeah.
the discussion, we talked about that human potential is about leading life in the best possible way, is being the best version of our own selves, taking up the challenges of the life head on, and solving the problems, hurdles which come our way. And these are the small things which help us in this direction.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why we emphasize on the need of a guru or a spiritual master. May I have the audience questions, please? I think this discussion will go on and on.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. We'll not stop.
yes, yes. So let me ask for some audience questions now. Yeah, okay. Mr. Surya Prakash Mahapatra is asking, what is the role of parents in unleashing the potential of a child? Uh, Mr. Chakrabarti would like to give
Yeah.
it a shot.
Very important and very good question. And I think you touched upon this, Tanaya, in the beginning, that it all depends on how we are disciplined, how we conduct in front of our child, and are we also putting them under the same limitations which we are grown up with, or we are giving them the exposure what we have learned from Sisi Thakur. Are we encouraging them? Are we motivating them to believe that they are the son of Father the Supreme? They have infinite potentialities, infinite possibilities. So I think if the parents are having those kind of belief, conviction, and their conduct is supporting that, that becomes the most important factor for unleashing potential of a child.
Absolutely. And childhood is the time when the neurons are getting formed, right?
Right.
And that is the time when a child is actually, the character building is happening, and that's what Sisi Thakur says, right? The age up to, I think, the age of 10, 5 to 10 is what he says.
Right.
Whatever you teach the child at that point in
Right.
time is something which he will carry on for his or her entire life. And another thing which Shishi Thakur talks, and I would like to mention about it, while we many times fail to do it, okay, and I agree, the attempt is always there, is that he says that the mother's attempt should always be that the child respects and loves the father, and the father's attempt should be vice versa, right? That the child should love the mother or get attached to the
Right.
mother. Once you are doing it right, obviously, most of the things are sorted. So that is one thing which I thought, because a lot of audience would be seeing our show. So one simple thing which Rishi Thakur has told us. So maybe we can try to follow it.
Right. And also Sisi Thakur, actually his spiritual progress actually addresses two aspects. One is psychic manipulation, Another, he
Yes.
mentioned the term as vibrolution, where vibration based evolution. So I think this is one very important factor. Psychic manipulation happens by changing our conduct, adjusting our complexes, modifying our behaviors, and that vibration, the nam there. So if parents are following all those, and if we are encouraging our children to have those things in their habit, so they are already ready to unleash the potential. And more,
Absolutely.
as you mentioned about, more is about the attachment and love towards the ideal.
Yeah. Any more questions? Okay. Is life all about dealing with problems or all about leading with solutions?
Yeah. Now, as we talked about Dr. J. Holmes, he mentioned that don't tell a young person that something is not possible, because God might be waiting for centuries to have someone who doesn't have any idea, who is ignorant about the impossible thing and do that very thing. So CC Thakurji, that's why we discussed about this in the beginning, that in the first message of Satyanusaran, he has requested us to have that paradigm shift. We are not here to talk about problems, we are here to deal with the solutions, because we have to believe, he is asking us to believe that you are son of Father the Supreme with infinite possibilities. So to have that belief, it is not very easy to have that belief and implement those beliefs. That requires some kind of conduct, that requires some kind of regime, which Sisi Thakurji tells us to follow every day, every minute, throughout our life.
Yeah, and in that first message itself of Satyanusaran, right, the continuation to this message, Sisi Thakur gives us the example of Bhagwan Sri Buddha, right? He says that, it's very easy to be carried away, swayed away, feel emotional when we see the death, disease of people around us, right? And we do that always, we get carried away. But then he says the true strong person is he who is focused on solutions, on how somebody cannot get into that misery again, rather than being weakened by those problems which are there. And there he gives the example of Lord Buddha. So obviously it's about leading with solutions. And another thing is that, whenever in any situation we are, if we see that Sisi Thakur has told us that this is a blissful will of the Supreme Father, then we don't see problems as problems, right? We are like kind of okay in every situation, and when we are kind of mind is at peace, we are definitely able to go about and finding solution. So I thought just
And,
I would add on to
and
it.
one more thing to add here, Tanaya. What we see is problem is also is our own creation of our own mind. That might be
Yeah.
an opportunity.
Yes, absolutely.
So if
Absolutely.
Sisi Thakurji wants us to have that kind of understanding, that kind of thought process.
Yeah, and I was just reading one poetry a few days back, where it was saying that give me those problems, give me those pains, if it really takes me towards you. So I think that is that blissful state of mind which people get into when you are under the guidance of a great spiritual master. Any more questions, please? Well, Shashwat Sinha, what is more important? Nam 24/7, Nam is the holy chanting that we do, or Dhyan 1 hour, and why? Dhyan is the meditation, and Nam is the holy chanting that we do. So he's asking which is more important.
Yeah, I think CC Thakur is very clear on this. He wants all of us to do the Nam recitation 24/7 and Dhyan minimum for 1 hour. Because in Bengali, he has already told that নাম মানুষকে গ্রহণক্ষম করে ধ্যান মানুষকে তীক্ষ্ণ করে, means
Right.
dhyan will allow us to be more receptive. It will allow us to have to evolve into a super consciousness where we can find out our intercorrelation with the environment. We have been hearing a lot of incidents where Pujabha Sisi Acharyadev is talking about some situation happening 2000 kilometers away, live, as if he is witnessing that situation. So those kind of receptivity, those kind of awareness, those kind of super consciousness, I think dhyan is the tool or way of achieving that. And Nam 24 by 7 keeps us reminded of our relation with CC Thakur, because there is every opportunity of getting deviated. We are in such an environment where every moment we are pulled towards something which is negative. So if we are habituated to have Nam recitation 24 by 7, it shields us from all those negativity. We remain in the right perspective of our thought process we should be. I think my understanding of Nam and Dhyan is like this.
Absolutely. And that's what Shashi Thakur has told us, that yes, meditation or dhyan makes us more receptive, and the holy chanting makes us sharper, right? And he also has told us in one of the messages that, in the dawn and the dusk, in the wee hours, as well as in the, again in the night, it is important to do the dhyan. He gives us the timings as well. And in the last session, Dr. Anurag was talking about how pineal glands are active during that time, and how the holy chanting and dhyan at that point in time kind of helps, and why those timings are prescribed. And obviously, he also tells us that 24/7, while you are on movement, keep on chanting and do the meditation, twice a day, during the night as well as the dawn in the wee hours. Yeah. Okay. Next question, please. Can we invite a soul whose human potential are fully unleashed to the ultimate? Can we invite a soul whose human potential are fully unleashed to the ultimate?
I have no right or wrong answer to this question. Uh, I have not. I have heard about inviting soul, but not very much sure about whether it is a possibility. This is a possibility, or I will not be able to answer it immediately. May have to find out. Is it something related to calling soul?
Not sure. I could not really understand, what. Um, so maybe, what Shishi Thakur, what maybe we can relate here is uh, the right marriages. Okay, so when the right marriages happen, automatically we invite the right souls to us, and that's how the progeny moves ahead. I think this is what I can make an attempt at it, but then I'm not sure. Not competent enough to really take a shot at this.
Right.
Okay, that is Ridhanand Mohapatra's questions. Organizations hire people with the best qualification and talent, but why does everybody not perform to their potential? What can organizations do to help their employees achieve their potential?
Fantastic question. I think this is the question which many of us can relate to, and this is the biggest challenge nowadays the organizations are facing. Uh, Organizations hire people with best qualification, talent for sure, but then the intent and the motivation. I think it is something to deal with the motivation, employee morale, employee welfare. So when my take on this is, why does everybody not perform to their potential, is what I have come across. I have seen when there is not much clarity on how an individual contributes towards the overall goal of that organization, how important that particular individual is for the organization. If that is not made clear to the individual, then he or she loses that motivation of performing or outperforming herself or himself. So, same thing, I think CC Thakurji wants all of us to remind that we are here for a purpose. We are here with lot of infinite possibilities. We are not here to be uh, just spending our time, and we are here with for a purpose. So I think if we relate CC Thakur with the organizational objectives, nowadays organizations are putting a lot of emphasis to make sure that their individual employees understand how important they are for the organization. And that is how I think the performance will enhance.
Absolutely. Making people aware of the big picture of the business or the big picture
Right,
of the organization, right?
right,
And connecting the individual's work. That I as an employee must understand how my work
right,
is contributing to my organization's purpose, objective, and maybe the larger society. So that is the motivator of most of the individuals, like by being driven by purpose, and that is what maybe organizations are trying, are not able to do, and that is why the sense of belongingness is not getting created. I think that's at the root of everything. Many times, right, when we see people, in the organization, talk, and since I come from the HR side, I my
right,
business is about, continuously talking to people. But most of the time we see that, this is what the connect is missing, because person does not know the purpose at work. And at the same time, again, as Shishi Thakur says, that love dictates duties. In his message volume 1, it is there: love dictates duties, or love drives the willpower, right, uphill. So if I don't love my organization, if I don't love the kind of work I am doing, definitely I will not be able to perform at my full potential. So I
right.
thought I'll just add on to this.
Yeah.
I think we are at the top of the hour already. If any question, yeah, last question we will take, and maybe then wind up. So the question from Swati Sarkar: unleashing human potential in a systematic, genetic, classified, and focused way. A mechanized, Ms. Sarkar has taken a lot of efforts in giving this question to us. Thank you for that. A mechanized robotic Varnashram version can bring the same transformation to lot many individuals to make them automatic, higher, self-oriented individual. Then why sadhana, meditation, all these are required? Isn't it useless wastage of time and energy? Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, your question actually addresses one part of the being, I think, because we how what qualities we are born with is something which relates to genetic combination of souls. Like we have heard about eugenics, and CC Thakur talks about Varnashram. The characteristics which by birth an individual carries is all based on what combination his parents were from. But after an individual is born, he is having a total influence of the environment and the circumstances he goes through during his course of life. So, whatever characteristic we are born with will not get unleashed unless we have practiced sadhana meditation, because there is every possibility of getting deviated or getting distracted from the very goal of life. To remain intact with the objective of the life, to remain focused with the objective of life, because there are areas of distraction everywhere, every minute. So that is why sadhana meditation and this process, which CC Thakurji talks about psychic manipulation, just to remain within the boundary of what is growth provoking, what is fulfilling growth. And also he talks about vibration, where vibration based evolution leading an individual to super consciousness. He's seeing all those possibilities within us, but that is possible only by the birth characteristic. It has to be practiced, cultured, nurtured, and evolved.
Absolutely. And I would request my audience to please view our session, which we did last season, on nature versus nurture. And definitely you will get an elaborate explanation as an answer to this particular question. Well, thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Chakraborty, for joining us. It was definitely a pleasure talking to you, and I know we both were smiling all along while we were, talking today, conversing today, which means that we both at least were enjoying the conversation ourselves.
Right, right.
So thank you so much, and thanks to all our viewers who have been very supportive so far. Thank you for your likes, comments, views. Please do share if you feel this session can be of benefit to people around. Please go ahead and share. That's my request on behalf of the entire Cradle team. When we started the session today, Mr. Chakraborty talked about the kingdom of heaven, and that is being in this ultimate state of unleashing our own potential. So I will end on a similar note. Definitely, as we understood in the conversation today, it is possible to unleash our human potential. Human potential is indeed infinite, first of all, and it is uh, possible also to tap into this huge reservoir of energy. And for that, we definitely have to take refuge, take guidance of a spiritual master who has been there, done that. Thank you all. And I end with a message from the Holy Satyanusaran, which says, remove doubt, place devotion on the throne of faith. Let the kingdom of heaven be established in your heart. Thank you so much. Take care and
Thanks, all
namaskar.
of you. It was really a privilege for me to be here. Thank you. Thanks, Tanaya.
Yeah, thank you. Bye bye. See you again next session next month. Bye bye.